Okay, you know what time it is. This is a big one. Thor Love and Thunder, the film. Let's jump right in. All right, this was a great film. It brought in a lot of cosmic and ethereal elements into the MCU, so let's do it. The positives. The opening beginning with Gore, aka Christian Bale. Yo, how dope was that? It was interesting. Like I said, and I've said many times, I've been reading the comics for quite a while. So I know that it was very faithful to how it goes down in the comics. He had more kids in the comics, so we'll let him slide with that. But his final child did die, and he came upon one of the old gods and ended up finding the Necro Sword next to a laid out Null. Now, I'm not going to get too much into Null and who that character is, but suffice it to say, he's extremely strong and actually created the Necro Sword. But they played it out fairly close to how the comics goes, so that's good. And of course, Gore got hold of the Necro Sword, which turned him into this like crazy warrior, the God Butcher, and he went on his killing spree from there. But as far as the progression of it and how he actually became Gore, it was very accurate to the comics, and really it was just a really good scene. Okay, so now we go to the Guardians of the Galaxy. That may have been one of the standout moments of the film. It was so short because we were led to believe, it would be the Asgardians of the Galaxy like the comics. But they were just there in the beginning, and it was interesting. You've got at this point comedic heavyweights. Chris Hemsworth, who has proven to be one of the funniest characters in the entire MCU, up there with Chris Pratt, Robert Downey Jr., Ant-Man, Paul Rudd, people who are supposed to be funny. Chris Hemsworth is right up there. And Chris Pratt, obviously, acting alongside him. That first part was hilarious. It really was. Drax's expressions when Chris Hemsworth started fighting the enemies, it was good. When they were looking at him as he was about to go, Mantis, that stare she was giving him, the whole scene was great, and it was supposed to be. It showed off a lot of comedic talent, and the way they just dipped out when it was like, okay, Thor, bye, that was one of the funniest parts of the movie just on its own. They were like, man, we're done with you. You're a strong guy, but we gotta go. Hilarious. It was a great opening to the film. Okay, now the cool thing about the opening was it painted Thor out to be a lot more pensive, and he has become pensive. He's 3,000 years old, somewhere along there. And as they did the recap of all the films, it showed everything he's lost, which is quite a bit. He's actually lost a lot. And, he got into his yogi mode. He was doing his meditation. It was good. It showed him to be a more reflective character, which is, Thor's had a lot of evolution since Thor 1. He was Shakespearean, then he became funny. Now he's a bit more introspective. It's been a good character progression, especially for someone who's so ancient, he's been around so long, and also who's so strong. It's look, there's more to life than that. So that was a really good aspect of the film, of the opening of the film. So another thing about the opening was it just showed you, in case you forgot, Thor is extremely strong. There's not really too much you're doing against this dude. If he's getting into a fight, it's just a matter of him knowing where the enemy is and how many of them are there, if he even needs to know that. He's just really powerful, and he's gotten stronger since Ragnarok. He's got back in shape. That whole scene was funny, by the way. He's got Stormbreaker. He's got more knowledge. He's been meditating. He's just stronger. So that first part showed just how powerful he is. And I think we all like the Bifrost. It's just a great addition to these Marvel films. It's a great addition to cinema. The effects, the movement, the sense it gives you that he can just be anywhere at any time, which he can. So that was cool. So right after the beginning part, he uses the Bifrost to go and be by Sif's side instantaneously. And just those two scenes with him fighting at the beginning and then using the Bifrost, it hit home for me once again. Oh yeah, Thor is OP. There's a lot he can do, and he can be there instantaneously. And then we move forward a little bit as the plot of the film really gets moving to New Asgard. So that's where we introduce, of course, Lady Thor, aka Natalie Portman, aka Princess Padme Amidala. So she's in the film. And a great addition to the film, but I'm going to get more into that. So the New Asgard scene showed us a lot. Gore, he's not for the play. He can actually fight. That sword laced him up. Obviously, it's made him progressively more insane, but also progressively more powerful, fast. He can summon the shadow demons. The sword is sharp enough to cut and kill gods. So, again, he's not for the play. He showed up there fighting Thor hand to hand, like something the Hulk does. So if this guy shows up, he's the real deal, and they showed that in that first scene. So also we got to see Lady Thor, aka the Mighty Thor, fight, and that was great. She has a Mjolnir that can split. It can go into different pieces, spread all across the battlefield. I would actually go as far to say it's an improvement over the original Mjolnir, because it has all the original properties, but now it can be everywhere at once. You can't say too much about that. That's legit. And the thing I want to touch on for a second with that opening New Asgard scene is Natalie Portman herself. Good to have her back, but I'm gonna tell y'all something right now. Natalie Portman was looking swole. She spent some time in the gym, had the arms working, and I like that because I'm not really sure at what point in history that women as frail became attractive or the norm, but she was strong, physically strong, and she looked strong, and it was man, Natalie Portman's looking good, maybe the best she's ever looked. And it was, she had some size to her, a little meat on her bones, some muscle. Yeah, she looked good. So that scene, it did a lot, but it probably single-handedly just tore away the notion of a woman is frail or skinny, so she's hot. That scene was nah, man, get in the gym, get your reps in, get that protein in, and you can still be, sexy, looking good. So that was good. That was a greatly appreciated part of the film. Shout out Natalie Portman. Shout out Natalie Portman's trainer. Shout out protein. Okay, so the movie advances a little bit, and we get to Omnipotent City, where all the gods are hanging out. And the zoo scene was hilarious. It was supposed to be, funny. It was maybe the comedic crux of the film, right there up there with the Guardians of the Galaxy original scene. And there were a couple messages I think it was trying to drive home, because Thor says a couple times, don't meet your heroes. So, I'm not sure if he was referring to himself or because every time you meet him and he's great, he's still Thor, but you meet Zeus and he, doesn't live up to the hype and, so on and so forth. But I think they were trying to get something with that theme in the movie, and that scene showed it. So as they progress, Thor takes Zeus out of the game temporarily, as we see, but he gets the Thunderbolt. So now they can go and, fight Gore. And now we get to the Gore scene, okay? This was the actual crux of the film for a lot of different reasons. It was the thematic crux of the film, it was the plot crux, and it was the dopeness crux. Check that title out, the dopeness crux, because it was. As soon as they approached the dark dimension or the realm of darkness, the color actually bleeds out of the film, out of the movie. Who thought of that? That is awesome. So cool. So it goes to this total grayscale, and they show up, and now you're in Gore's place now. This is his dimension. And as Valkyrie said, he's at least as strong as he was anywhere else, multiple times stronger. So now they got to face off against him. So the cinematography was just crazy. As well as taking the color out, they brought in this tilt shift effect. So the distance, the depth between things was altered. It had this kind of, kind of Legoland appearance to it. And it was just, they really switched up the whole game there. And the whole point of that scene was, to shift the plot of the film, but almost just to show off Christian Bale's acting. Man, there were two scenes that really did it, when he was tormenting the kids with his little, crazy bedtime story. But also this scene, because man, that dude can act. He can act over the shoulder with the doing his best Gollum impression. Man, that scene was crazy. And it was all in black and white too. It was just so good. Because of Christian Bale's acting. Everyone did great. Padme, my girl, Valkyrie, Thor, everyone was great. But Christian Bale, that man held it down. And that scene really showed a lot. So as we know, he ended up, kind of in a kind of goofy way, or, a film way, getting a hold of Stormbreaker. But that's what had to happen. And he now had the key to go and unlock eternity. Brief shout out to Stormbreaker as well. We already knew it was strong. When the elf was making it back in Infinity War, he was like, look, this weapon is fit for a god, for a king. It may even be able to summon the Bifrost just by itself. He doesn't need Heimdall and the sword, the whole chamber. Just the weapon itself can summon the Bifrost. So that that dwarf was alluding to how strong Stormbreaker, was. But we learned in this movie it's a lot stronger than anybody thought it was. I mean, it can do all sorts of stuff. But it is the key to opening up eternity, like, to basically granting any wish you want, Dragon Ball style. Like, that is quite a weapon. Killed Thanos with it. It, even more impressive than slicing off Thanos' head, it deflected all 6 beams from the Infinity Gauntlet, from a fully formed Infinity Gauntlet. So yeah, this weapon isn't for the play, and this movie definitely showed that. So Thor goes to visit Jane Foster in her hospital room, and he's got to go complete the mission. It's not a question of if he can defeat Gore. He's like, I just got to go do it. We would have jumped him back then, but he had his little private dimension, so he's a little stronger. But we're going to defeat him. I'm going to defeat him. I'm gonna holla at you later. So Jane's like, okay, they have a little discussion, but Thor burns out. So if we didn't already know how OP Thor was, vast superhuman strength, access to various OP weapons, combat experience, speed, take your pick. This man has shadow clones. He has the actual shadow clone jutsu. When he had the kids with him, he was like, hey, y'all about to fight. Like, pick up some sticks. Like, y'all about to fight. But he speaks his spell into the Thunderbolt and literally gives the kids the powers of Thor. I was sitting back in the movie like, A, very imaginative, because I've never seen him do that in the comics before. B, also imaginative because I was wondering really how he was going to defeat, the final enemy. And to throw that in there was like, man, just so creative and so dope. And it's grounded in like what Thor can do, what Odin has done. So it's in that bloodline. And 3, C, it was just dope. He has the shadow clone jutsu. If he's in a pinch or in a bind and he's got some people with you, he's like, yo, I can just make you as strong as me. So let's jump him. Like, there's a reason why Naruto is the strongest character in Naruto. He's mastered the shadow clone jutsu. He can just multiply himself on you. Thor can do the same thing. Thor. Multiple Thors. Yo, OP. That was so dope. So then Jane shows up, expectedly. Mjolnir coaxes her into, going to fight in the final battle. And she's just about as capable as Thor. Quick, strong, ready to fight. And when she seals the Necro Sword, the fragments in the Mjolnir, again, they're taking elements that in some ways surpass the comics. Because that was like incredibly cool. And something I wouldn't have thought of. Like, you beat him up or use some lightning. Nah, take the fragments and actually seal the Necro Sword into Mjolnir itself, so he can't get it. It also like locks up its magic. Man, that was cool because it was just so imaginative. So they beat him up, they save the day, and then go enter the portal of eternity. So the last scene in the film, or the last to last scene, was the most heartfelt, the most sad, but also the most interesting. So we saw what happened to Jane. She passed off into another dimension. And, Gore was about to make his wish to eternity when, that's when the film changed. He had somewhat of a change of heart for a couple of reasons. Number one, the Necro Sword was busted up, so it wasn't affecting his mind anymore. He was still sad, still depressed, but he wasn't insane like the sword was making him. And B, Thor recognizing his pain, like kind of what he had been through, over the course of his existence. I think that's really what helped him heal up, what helped him turn around. So he didn't wish all the gods were dead, like everyone feared he would. And I actually thought he was going to wish Jane Foster would live for a second, but he ended up wishing his baby back. That was good. He got his kid back. But as we saw in the film, they did the mirror reflection. It's a little star baby. Like, I thought at the time they were doing that just to like convey some sort of sense of wonder or to make it seem interesting. But, we found out in the final scene what happened. But it turns out Eternity did give him his kid back. But since, she did die, you can't actually bring her back, so to speak, like her actual soul and body. He remade her, same kid, looks like the same kid, but with his own energy, at the same age, chronological age, but with like the energy of eternity. So this ain't no normal kid. It's not a human, it's a star baby. That's what I call it. So the star baby came out. Gore did pass away. He got beat up. Plus the vitality of the Necro Sword wasn't keeping him alive. Jane passed on into the next dimension. And Thor, with his new baby, sped back to Earth. So now the final scene, Thor's making some pancakes for his little baby. She's got laser vision, at least some sort of star vision. So yeah, I mean, super strong kid for a super strong parent, makes sense. And they go out and fight at the end. And that is Thor, Love and Thunder. Great film. Now for room for improvements. Really not too much, but there's a couple things. So number one, it's one of the shortest Marvel films. It might actually be the shortest Marvel film, coming in at a runtime of 1 hour and 59 minutes. I mean, in today's times, that's short for any film. Films average out at about 2.5 hours. Endgame was 3 hours. The Batman was 3 hours. When I was a child, movies were an average of 90 minutes, but those days have come and gone. So an hour and 59 minutes for a major, like, headlining Marvel film, it felt a little short, but it didn't have any subplots. It was straightforward. They, stuck to the main characters. They got the mission done, and that was it. So in that sense, I guess it makes sense. You want a longer movie, but it's cool. And this is the thing that I think a lot of people have said about these films, about Phase 4. And I'm going to stop bringing it up after this because it's just what's happening. They've got to work towards something. I've heard they're working towards Secret Wars. I mean, I know they are because the movie's coming out, the Marvels. But that aspect of the team films where they get someone new each film, and Nick Fury's behind the scenes and they're assembling this team. They've got this secret enemy and it's just building toward this point. That heartfelt, that feeling, it's not really in these films or in Phase 4. All these productions are great. And the production value has actually increased over Phases 1, 2, or 3. These movies and the shows are really good. But that element of building towards something and having that, heartfelt center and the team element and the, looming enemy, I mean, it's just not there. So, they're going to keep making them and they're all good. So I'll keep watching them. But that element is definitely subtracted from Phase 4. And I'm sure there are several reasons why that is. I'm not going to get into that right now, but it's starting to look more and more like those old school Marvel movies were more of a golden age. But we'll see. It's not too late, because like I always said, I got to bring up my original Zen roots, in some of these videos. If you become successful and then neglect what it took for you to get to that point, you're going to be in trouble. I'm going to say that one more time. If you become successful and then neglect whatever it was that got you to that point, you're going to be in trouble. So here's hoping to some team ups, some secret enemies. There's still a lot of time left. These movies have, transcendent production quality. They're still good, but we need that team up. We all want it. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Another point. And again, just like the working towards something, after this, I'm not even going to bring it up anymore because this is how they're doing it. The other heroes thing, you want to see the other heroes, but they only do that in team up films. Because again, gore, extremely large threat. Doctor Strange would know, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to get into all that. That's just how it goes down. It is similar to the comics in that way. Everybody kind of handles their own thing. But in this sense, it's on Earth, Doctor Strange would know these things are happening. So it's cool. It's what they're doing with the films. But, I just thought I'd mention it. But after this point, I'm not going to bring it up anymore. And now I have a new section, the end credits. This will be specifically for movies, or actually no, for shows, because Moon Knight had its end credits. Or actually go over what the end credits scenes were, because in Marvel movies, those are integral to the whole mystique of Marvel. So the first end credits scene, Zeus has got the hole in his chest, he's healing up, he's got his homegirls with him, and you hear the big clang of the mallet, and they show Hercules. Whew, that was dope. Did you hear how heavy that thing sounded? Bang! This dude is strong. Comic book readers know Hercules is, he's more or less up there with Thor. He's not someone you can mess with. I mean, he's actual Hercules from mythology, so lifting planets, all sorts of crazy stuff. The costume looked exactly like it does in the comics. It looks great. Hercules will probably be in Secret Wars. Hercules will be in Secret Wars, so I'm looking forward to that. And the second end credit scene was with Jane Foster. She made it to Valhalla. That was cool. And the way they showed it in the movie, if you're a warrior, you make it to Valhalla, or if you die in battle, So that's definitely what happened to her. She perished because of other reasons, but yeah, technically she did die in battle, so she goes to Valhalla. It's a little different from mythology, where anyone can actually go to Valhalla, contrary to popular belief, and Odin picks people who he deems worthy that will fight with him in Ragnarok. So a little slight deviation from the actual mythology, but still very appropriate. Jane Foster got her proper ending. You know, maybe she can come back to life. Who knows? But that was good to see her in Valhalla. Okay, and I do this at the end of every series, TV or movie, the best actor. So usually it ends up being the main character because they have the most screen time and the movie's about them. So they have, you know, the most weight put on them and the most opportunities to show their acting skill. But it's not always the lead actor. Like in No Way Home, the best actor was Jamie Foxx. And then I'd say the second best actor was Andrew Garfield. Tom Holland did great, but you know, the best actors were some of the supporting actors, and so on and so forth. And this film, the best actor goes to a supporting actor. And it's no surprise, it's Christian Bale. Man, he held it down. His acting is just so pristine. It's polished. It's precise. This is the Batman. This is our Batman. This is Christian Bale. And he did his thing again. I'd actually say he's becoming a better actor over time. The part of Gore was just, he was one of those like like some of the heroes like Iron Man or the Hulk or Thor, or even the villains like Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, where the look as well as the attitude is like pulled straight from the comic. It's like exactly what you were thinking. On some Harry Potter type stuff actually, but actually even a little better. Yeah, Christian Bale gets the best actor nod without question. But that being said, everyone did well. They all did great. Hemsworth was great. Padme Amidala, she was great. Kat Dennings, always great. I mean, the kids, the whole little group of kids, Heimdall's kid, they all did great. Matt Damon, they did great. It was a great film. So yes, but the best actor nod itself, man, my man Christian Bale held it down. Now for the rating, the almighty rating. This film gets 9 reconstructed millionaires out of 10. It's a good, clean 9 out of 10. It was a great film, man. Like, it had all the elements. It had the tears, it had the action, it had the powers, it had the acting, it had it all. It was a great film. Of Phase 4, the best film is still No Way Home, which I also say is the best Marvel film. But, man, it's probably second best. This film was legit. Wish it could have been a little longer, but aside from that, it was an amazing film and deserves every bit of a 9 out of 10. All right, man, we're in the heart of the summer and the last film of the summer, so we're keeping it rolling. Miss Marvel episode 6, that comes out tomorrow at the time of filming this, so I'm gonna have that ready for y'all. We might be less than a month away from She-Hulk, so get ready for that. And then Black Panther, the mystery film, man. Yeah, we'll see. I know it's coming out because I saw the cardboard cutout in the theater. So, you know, it's coming out, but we don't know anything about this film, except for that it hasn't been canceled. So we'll see what happens with that. It'll be here soon, though, and be ready for that. I had Black Panther or Thor picked as the film of the year. Thor was pretty good, man, so Black Panther's got to hurdle it. We'll see. I think it can. But yeah, Thor was great. I predict Black Panther will be great as well. So we'll see how it all stacks up to the true Marvel film of the year. I was gonna say No Way Home, but No Way Home came out right at the end of 2021. So okay, scratch that. But yes, because No Way Home, you know how I feel about that film. So yeah, Black Panther or Thor, we'll see. We'll see. There's a little time left. And that about does it, man. We're almost to the end of the summer. We're entering autumn, the crispy season, my favorite season. So we'll see what happens there. And man, that's all I got for y'all. Keep holding it down. I'm going to see y'all in the next one. Peace.